Hello, I'm Sonya English. I'm a critical care outreach nurse specialist and one of the teaching faculty with the Precure team. Today, I just want to talk a little bit about face masks, the do's and don'ts, and some of the concerns that my colleagues and I have with the use of them out in the community. Certainly, if you're following government guidelines in Australia and New Zealand, then you're staying at home unless really necessary that you need to go out or for work that is essential services. If you are sick, if you are coughing or sneezing, have high temperatures, then you should not be leaving your home. You should be in strict self-isolation. So thinking about following those practices of hand washing, social distancing, isolation, only going out as necessary, then that should keep you safe. But what we're seeing in the community is a lot of use of masks. Now, thinking about the hospital and the GP's office and some of these healthcare services, we are requiring a high use of masks. And we know at the moment that there is a real worldwide shortage. So we really, really need your help. There are masks called N95. These are personal protection equipment, or PPE, as we call them in the healthcare world, that are necessary for staff to protect them from air particles and splash that contain the virus, COVID-19. Now, they're airtight masks, and staff are actually going to be subjected to quite risky times when they're caring for people, such as putting a tube in a patient's throat to connect to life support. And we absolutely need to have these N95 masks at that time. There's many other times within our practices that we need those. And one of the most important things to be mindful of for you guys is that if we don't have those, then staff are going to get sick. And, specialist staff particularly are very short on the ground. So we need to keep us safe so that we can care for you 24 hours round the clock. Now, what we are seeing is these masks being sold on the internet. We're seeing them in the community. But concerningly, we're seeing them worn incorrectly and people contaminating themselves and the environment by not wearing them correctly. And I think that leaves them with a false sense of security. So these are what the N95 or PPE gear looks like for healthcare staff. Okay, you can see that when you put them on, they can be airtight and they'll cover quite an area on the face. Now, it is important, as I said, that we have enough of those, and it is quite a specialist job getting those fitted properly and wearing them correctly. So if you know of anybody does, bring them back into the hospital so that we can keep the general public safe. The other type of mask that we're seeing out there is the surgical mask, and they come in many different forms, mostly with strings, sometimes with a bit of elastic that loops around the ear. Now, personally, if you're following the rules around self-isolating if you're sick, only going out when necessary, distancing to 2 meters, using hand washing techniques, using gel, then these are not necessary. However, I know that there will still be people wanting to wear them out in the public. I think they do pose a risk because of that false sense of security and the way people are wearing them. So I'm just going to take you through wearing one of these correctly. So firstly, wash your hands for more than 20 seconds very thoroughly and or gel your hands. Only touch the strings and make sure that you tie it tightly at the back of your head with the strings. Don't touch the front of the mask at any time. You can then, just at the bridge of your nose, gently push down and then secure the mask at the back. And you can see from looking at this mask already that there's an entry in here, and if you smile, and at the top as well. So it's not fully protective, but the thing that has really been worrying us, particularly as healthcare professionals, is this business that we see in the supermarkets and, touching. And if someone sneezes, it's that sense of security that, oh, no, it's all right, I've got a mask on. But then you're going to fiddle with your mask, and that COVID virus is going to be on the mask. The other thing that we're seeing is this kind of floating mask that goes up and down, and the hands are all over the mask. Again, all it takes is touching a surface or touching your face, and then we have an issue with the virus. So I think never touch the front of the mask at all, washing hands before taking it off, and only touching the back of the mask itself. And then making sure that you have a closed bin that you can drop the mask without it touching anything into, and dispose of it in the correct manner, carefully, not touching any of the front of it. So you can see that would take a little bit of practice, and wearing one of those, they generally in the hospital environment only last 20 minutes. Certainly if it becomes wet or contaminated in any way, then we would discard of it immediately. I'm hoping that that's been helpful around masks, and that the recommended guidelines by the government at this stage are really what you need to stick to. Please, I urge anybody with N95 masks, think about if you have to come into hospital and you need the services of a specialist nurse, a specialist doctor, anybody at all in the healthcare system, and they're too sick because they haven't got enough masks to go around, then we really are going to have a crisis. So at Precure, we really talk often about prevention is cure, and in this case it is. It's important to listen to the guidelines, be mindful and be safe. Okay, thank you very much.